Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of Farm Factor. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom. Today, Duane Toews is at the K-State Beef Stocker Conference, visiting with Dr. Walter Fick about Old World bluestem grasses, and then with Jon Mollhagen, owner of Moly Manufacturing, who has a new hydraulic loading chute. Next, we'll bring you the weekly Kansas Soybean Report, and then it's back to the conference for a visit with Jim Sears with Bayer Animal Health. We'll end with a word from Dr. Glynn Tonsor with K-State's Ag Econ Department. That's all coming up. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, Progress, powered by Kansas farmers. This segment is brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
Good morning and welcome back to Farm Factor at the KSU Beef Stocker Conference. Let's join Duane Toews as he and Dr. Walter Fick discuss Old World bluestem grasses.
For Ag AM in Kansas, I'm Duane Toews, joining you from the Kansas State University Beef Stocker Conference, a chance to catch up with Walt Fick, talking about grasses, and it's got bluestem in the name, but obviously, Walt, all bluestems are not the same, and you talked to the growers and producers here about one in particular that's becoming more of a problem for us.
Yes, there's a category of plants, we refer to them as Old World bluestems. And that includes both Caucasian bluestem, which has been around probably since the 1930s, and then the rest of them, it's a different species. We just refer to them as yellow Old World bluestems. But they've did come from that name, as that name implies, came from another part of the world rather than North America.
As far as a stocker operator or a cowman in general, what kind of an impact is this having in some of our pastures?
Well, the big problem is the Old World bluestems were introduced as a forage crop, and planted in solid seeded stand, and you can graze them pretty hard, and get quite a bit of beef per acre. But the problem has been is they won't stay inside the fence, and so they've spread out of those areas, or even along the roadsides. I think there's been a lot of planting in the past along the roadside, spreads out into our native range. It's not as palatable as our native grasses, and thus it doesn't get a whole lot of grazing use, and it's going to flourish under that situation. So it's gradually spreading and will take over areas.
So for a grass manager, what are some of the logical steps to try and reduce the incidence?
Well, I think it depends on how dense the stand is. In some cases, if it's a large enough area, I might be tempted to fence it off and actually stalk it real heavy, try to use it. They will graze it if they don't have a lot of choice. But if it's scattered around in a pasture, I think we really don't have any good management options for us. Fire is not going to help us. So we've been looking at some herbicides, things like Roundup, the glyphosate products. Will kill the Old World bluestems. The problem is they also affect most everything else that might be actually growing at the time. Another product that also is labeled for range in pasture is a product, I'll use the trade name, is called Arsenal. And at a high rate, that's a bare ground treatment as well, but at the rates we're using, we're looking at quarter to half pound range, and it seems to be more selective. We're getting good reduction on the Old World bluestems without damaging all the natives. A lot of our native grasses are surviving that Arsenal treatment. So that looks promising.
Our thanks to Walt Fick joining us here at the Beef Stocker Conference. We'll send it back to Jamie in studio for more Ag AM in Kansas.
Thanks, Duane. Coming up next, Duane catches up with Jon Mollhagen, owner of Moly Manufacturing. Stay with us.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com. As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
Now another gardening tip with Annette Jackson.
Now's the time to overseed your lawn. The success of your lawn depends on the quality you plant and the proper fertilizer. Plant 100% weed-free seed with top-rated varieties tested by KSU. Always use Fertilome New Lawn Starter for faster, stronger root development. Don't waste time and money with lower quality seed from the box stores.
Join the Jackson's Greenhouse WIBW Garden Club and save 10% on your lawn seed and Fertilome New Lawn Starter.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com. This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome back to Farm Factor. Let's join Duane and Jon Mollhagen as they talk about Moly Manufacturing's new hydraulic loading cattle chute.
Duane Toews continuing with coverage from the KSU Beefstocker Conference in Manhattan. Chance to catch up with Jon Mollhagen with Moly Manufacturing. And Jon, I see that some of the equipment that you guys have built for a number of years, a part of this facility here at the Stocker unit. Give us a little update on what things went in initially that you've provided for them here at K-State, and then what upgrades have been made since.
Duane, yes, we were originally with the Beefstocker unit from the very beginning. We provided a silencer squeeze chutes and an overhead scales and alleyways, and actually one of our very first turret gates came in here. And that's been about 10 years ago now. And so it's been a very successful program for us here, and they've been a great partner to work with. They've had a great, many people throughout the world have showed up here and looked at our equipment here and have done a very good job.
As far as the facilities here, they've done some modifications through the years, continue to expand, in fact, and I understand that you've got a new piece of equipment here as well this year.
Yes, we brought them one of our loading chutes. It's a hydraulic loading chute that we can adjust it for the trailer height, whether it's a truck or a stock trailer, and these cattle don't have to jump up or drop down. Very safe to use. We've also added some scales on this unit as kind of a scientific look as far as batch weighing. We also have where we have the single animal scales on the silencer. We're going to compare the two and see how close we can get batch weighing with single animals. So it's going to be a good research project for us.
Obviously, this research institution and all of the work that goes on here at the Stocker Conference, being able to measure, the old phrase that if you don't measure, you can't manage, and having good weights on these cattle in and out, pretty important.
Yes, the more we measure these animals, we can figure out what these daily gains are going to be, and we can also do so many predictions on what we expect from these animals, and then in the future as well.
As far as the lineup from Moly Manufacturing, comfort and safety for the animal, but also the operator's kind of been a focal point for a number of years.
Yes, we've through the years we keep adding on to our silencer squeeze chutes, and we keep making it safer for the operators and the animals. Our hydraulic neck bars are just so important now. We can move that head from right to left. We don't have to worry about people getting hurt by these heads swinging around. We put hydraulic kick bars in there now, so if we need that extra safety if somebody's stepping in behind these animals. We've also built a larger model for large cattle now, what we call Silencer Max. So we just keep adding on to our product line with them.
Well, our thanks to Jon Mollhagen with Moly Manufacturing, joining us at the KSU Beefstocker Conference in Manhattan, talking about some of the facilities and the equipment located here on site. Jamie, we'll send it back to you for more in studio on Ag AM in Kansas.
Thanks, Duane. Folks, this week's Kansas Soybean Report is coming up next, so don't go away. This is Farm Factor on Ag AM in Kansas.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Soybean Report.
This is the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Mary Knapp, Assistant State Climatologist, is joining us. And Mary, as fall harvest is underway for soybean producers out there, how are they looking as far as the weather as they continue the harvest?
Well, the weather is actually looking pretty favorable from the harvest standpoint. The question will be just how much of the rain materializes. We're looking at temperatures being in the moderate range with highs maybe approaching 80 degrees towards the midweek in advance of the next frontal system. There is going to be a scattered chance of moisture, and this is best chances, believe it or not, are going to be in the western part of the state. Question is how much moisture will be out of that. It may be mostly a mist event rather than an actual rainfall event. So maybe enough to have problems with the moisture in the beans, not necessarily getting into the field. After that, the 6 to 10 and 8 to 14 day outlooks, which carry us through the 18th of October, are both tilted towards dry for the moisture side, with the greatest chance for below normal moisture, not surprisingly, in eastern part of the state. We're getting out of our rainy season, and so in the west, it doesn't take much to get to normal on the freeze-up.
And Mary, as we talk about potential for early freeze, have we seen any freezing temperatures in the state already?
We have seen some reports. The coldest reading so far has been up in Brown County, where Horton saw 29 degrees this weekend on the 4th. We also saw some temperatures more widespread out in northwest Kansas, where the lows were down to 33. And, of course, if it's reported at one of our observing stations at that low of a temperature, low-lying areas are likely to have seen some colder readings as well.
And typically, you would be mid to late October before we would even get to an average freeze date in Kansas.
Well, it depends again upon the part of the state. In the northwest and west central, the average freeze date is actually late September to that first week in October, and that drops back into mid-October as you get into the middle part of the state, and late October as you get down into that southeastern corner.
All right, Mary, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Greg.
Mary Knapp, Assistant State Climatologist for Kansas, joins us on the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Learn more at kansassoybeans.org. For Kansas Soybeans, I'm Greg Akagi.
Hope you enjoyed this week's Kansas Soybean Report. Stay tuned for Duane's visit with Jim Sears with Bayer Animal Health. That's next.
Biodiesel made from sustainable resources is diversifying our fuel supply. This year, biodiesel will displace over 1 billion gallons of fossil fuel nationwide. It's making our economy stronger and our communities healthier. It's working here and across America. Get biodiesel going in your community. Visit americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
This segment brought to you by Heinen Brothers Ag, farmers helping farmers by offering quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia. Call today to protect your crop yield.
Welcome back. Let's catch up with Duane and Jim Sears as they talk about Bayer Animal Health's new product, Zelnate.
Duane Toews for Ag AM in Kansas. We continue with some of the speakers from the KSU Beef Stocker Conference. A chance to catch up with Jim Sears with Bayer Animal Health. And Jim, your topic of the day, talking about some things around BRD, bovine respiratory disease. And boy, what a problem it's been for the cattle industry for a long time, and still continues to be an issue for us at times, sometimes worse than others.
That's true. It's an ongoing challenge, has been for long time, of course, in the cattle industry, continues to be, and so we'll be talking about that and some related issues.
As far as for stocker operators, calf health, if they're not healthy, they're not growing, and for a stocker operator, it's pretty critical to get those calves cleaned up, straightened out, and ready to go to grass.
No, that's true. As with other segments of the industry, of course, but to grow and not only be healthy, but to grow and perform as they should, they need to be healthy.
So as far as respiratory disease and that whole complex, why is it that we haven't been more successful at dealing with that particular issue?
Well, you probably said the key word there when you said complex. It's a complex disease. There's no single cause or cure. It's a combination of many things. Kind of wrapped up in one involving immunity, production cycles, all these kind of things. It's a very complex disease. Stepping back a little bit on a larger view, the cattle as a species are a bit more prone to respiratory disease because of their anatomy and their composition. So it's just part of how they're built and how our market is.
As far as the event here, talk a little bit about some of the research or things that you've seen that you're going to share with producers.
Well, we have a new product called Zelnate, which is an innate immune stimulant, brand new technology, just released to the market a few weeks ago. And it's indicated for an aid in treatment of BRD around a stressful event. And so we're going to be overviewing that for the producers here and trying to show them how it fits into the overall immunological picture and the BRD picture, and some things they might consider to discuss with their veterinarian if they want to consider using this in their operation.
And considering it affects all segments and aspects of the industry, the dollar loss to the industry, I've heard, I don't know that anybody really can put a pencil to it, to a specific number, but it's substantial.
Very, very definitely. You look at various reports, articles, efforts to kind of document all of that. It's all over the board, but there's no question. There's when cattle get sick, their production goes down, their economic opportunities are diminished. Certainly, not to mention those that, of course, that may not live. So it's an animal welfare issue as well as an economic issue.
Well, our thanks to Jim Sears with Bayer Animal Health joining us at the KSU Beef Stocker Conference in Manhattan. Jamie, we'll send it back to you for Ag AM in Kansas.
Thanks, Duane. Up next, K-State's Glynn Tonsor with the Ag Econ Department updates us about the cattle market.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
I will take action against herbicide-resistant weeds. I will know my weeds, and I will stop them before they go to seed. I will do whatever it takes to give my crops the upper hand, and I will use multiple herbicide sites of action because every action counts. I will take action, this time for all time.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor. Let's meet up with Duane again as he visits with Glynn Tonsor, a K-State ag economist.
Duane Toews joining you with more Ag AM in Kansas as we continue our opportunity to talk with some of the speakers at the KSU Beef Stocker Conference. Glynn Tonsor out of the Ag Econ department spoke to producers earlier in the program. And Glynn, obviously the one thing's for certain, whether it's up or down, the cattle market will move at some point in time. And that was part of what you talked about today.
Yeah, things are always moving. We're definitely in a bearish tone in the markets. I was trying to not feed that bearish tone, but add a lot of unbiased information on why that's going on. If I could synthesize it for our listeners here, there's growing concern on the demand front, particularly how fast the global economic environment is going to grow, or more narrowly if it's shrinking, and that a view that there's global economic concerns is bearish for expensive products like beef. That tends to push back on things like cutout values. So choice cutout value was something I talked at length about in our talk, and choice cutout value has been beat up a lot in the last few weeks. And we, derived demand is the term economists use. When you see choice cutouts go down, fed cattle prices go down, yearling prices go down, calf prices go down.
Obviously, it's the different segments of the industry that are affected at one point or another by price. We've had a pretty good run for the last couple of years where, surprisingly enough, I think all sectors were profitable.
Well, the cow-calf sector in particular has had a good 2 or 3 year run, record-setting by most measures. Stockers been, in and out of that period. For 2015, the feedlot industry's had a notable challenge. 2014 was a positive surprise, but I belabored the margins, if you like, for each of those segments. Looking forward, 2016 to 17 looks like it's still going to be good by historic standards for the cow-calf industry, but notably worse than 2014. So it's all relative to how you look at it. Stocker segment has, at the moment, those margins don't look quite as good. And I continue to be concerned about feedlot returns. Fed cattle prices have fell so much that we have a lot of red ink on current closeouts, and projections for the next several months continue to show red ink.
Obviously, we have competing meats as well between the pork and poultry industries that are a part of that mix. Interesting looking at some of the data you showed about total meat consumption per capita.
Yeah, so we consume what's produced, and it's important for all the listeners to recognize that per capita consumption just reflects growing production of meats. So all the major meats, beef, pork, chicken, turkey, are in the process of expansion. Beef is just kind of the last one of that game because of the longer biological lag, but particularly looking out to 2016 and 2017, we're going to produce more meat here in the U.S. That's pretty clear. The domestic consumer is going to have more meat available, so per capita consumption is expected to go up. That's weighing on the market some. It's not necessarily new news, but the real unknown at the moment is how much we'll be able to export. So high U.S. dollar makes it harder for us to export, just makes our products more expensive globally. And in 2015, we've had lower exports. If that continues into 2016, when we have more meat being produced here, then that'll continue to be bearish. If that eases and we're able to export more, then that could turn into a bullish factor.
Obviously, it all starts with the cow-calf sector as far as how many feeders eventually are available, and then fed cattle as well. Looking ahead, we've talked about expansion. What do the next couple of years look like?
Yeah, so I shared specific numbers. Heifer retention as a percent of the breeding herd is 2014 and 2015 were 2 of the 3 largest years in the last 30 years. I only share that because we've pulled the trigger on expansion. Like I said 3 or 4 times during our talk, as long as Mother Nature allows it, and it's raining during my talk, so it's consistent with that, we're going to continue to expand the herd. I showed a chart on typical cattle cycles. When we're in an expansion phase, it tends to last, 3 to 6 years, depending on the exact cycle. At the end of the day, the really positive margins of the last couple of years, coupled with the history of cycles, if you like, I think we're going to continue to expand the herd and therefore the calf crop for another 3 to 5 years, as long as Mother Nature keeps raining throughout most of the cow-calf country.
Well, our thanks to Glynn Tonsor, ag economist at Kansas State University, speaking at the KSU Beefstalker Conference in Manhattan. Jamie, we'll send it back to you in studio.
I'm Jamie Bloom, your host of Farm Factor, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. I'll see you next week. We're here every Tuesday on Ag AM in Kansas.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.